Welcome back, student. Let's continue with the atoms and molecules. In the last class, in the previous class, we have studied about the discovery of atom, as we have studied about the Dalton's atomic theory, which was containing both the laws of chemical combination, that is the law of conservation of mass also, and the law of conservation, definite proportion also. Okay, which has been explained out there in the particular in that particular theory. Okay, now let's move further and see that what were the further discoveries which were made for the atoms. So the next discovery which was made for the atoms, it was the what are the modern day symbols which are used for the atoms of different elements, how we are representing the different elements or how we are representing the different atoms. Okay, so Dalton. Dalton was the first scientist to use the symbol for elements in a very specific sense. When he used a symbol for an element, he also meant a definite quantity of that element. That is, one atom of that element. Berzelius suggested that the symbol of elements be made from one or two letters of the name of the elements. Okay, so the first attempt which was made by any scientist to make to represent the symbols for the elements, it was made by Dalton only. Okay, it was made by Dalton only. So Dalton has made the attempt to give the symbols for the elements, and that symbols were this, like this symbols, as a circle with a small dot in the center. It was termed as hydrogen. For phosphorus, he has given this symbol. Okay, phosphorus. For copper, circle with C. For gold, circle with G. Okay. For platina, circle with P. For lead, circle with L. For sulfur, circle with plus. For carbon, a darkened circle. Okay, a gray color darkened circle. Then for oxygen, a large circle, a big circle. For iron, circle with I. For silver, circle with S. For mercury, circle with the small dots at the corners, okay, on its circumference. So like this, different symbols were provided. But later, one more scientist, that is Berzelius. Okay, Berzelius, he has been came, and he has suggested that the symbols of the elements can be made from the one or two letters of the names of that particular element. Okay, one or two names of that particular element's name can be taken, and that letters can be used to represent that particular elements. Okay, so these were the symbols which were proposed by the Daltons. So when Berzelius has been came, and he has suggested that to use the letters of that particular names of the compounds only, then according to that, the rule has been changed, and in the beginning the names of the elements were derived from the names of the place where they were been found. For example, copper. Copper was been first discovered from Cyprus. Okay, so the name of the copper was copper was Cuprus. It was given as Cyprus. Some name taken from the specific color of that particular compound. For example, the name of the yellow. Okay, the name of the gold. It is taken from the word that is yellow only. Okay, so yellow. So for yellow, the gold is being used for yellow color, which is generally used for yellow color only. Okay, so nowadays, presently, IUPAC is there. IUPAC, which is International International Union for Pure and Applied Chemistry. Pure and Applied Chemistry. So this particular community, this particular council decides the different names or the different rules and regulations for the chemistry all over the world, in all over the world. IUPAC is the particular committee or particular council which decides the different name and different approves the different elements, symbols, units, and rules and regulation for the chemistry. Okay, nowadays it is been carried out by using this particular committee only. So Nowadays, many of the symbols are generally taken from the first one or two letters of the elements name in the English only. For example, the name of the compound, that is the iron. Sorry, not iron. Let iron be. For example, boron. So boron's name is taken as B. For carbon, it is taken as C. Okay, carbon, CARBON. For boron, BORON. Okay, okay. Like this, the name has been taken out there. First letter, second letter. For hydrogen, H. For hydrogen, it is H. For aluminium, okay, aluminium, capital A, small l, aluminium. Okay, for argon, argon. So like this, the first or the second letter is been considered as to be the name of that compound or the symbol of that compound. Presently, IUPAC has made this rule to use this type only, that to take the first or the second letter of the name of the compound element only for symbols. Okay, but some of the compounds, such as iron, as I is being used for iodine. So now I is reserved, so we cannot use I for iron. Okay, so what we can do, we can use the different name of the iron. The different name of iron is ferrum. This is the Latin name of iron. Okay, so here we are using the first two letters of the Latin name of the iron, that is ferrum, Fe, as the symbol for the iron. Similarly, for sodium, okay, for sodium, the name is, for sodium, the Latin name is natrium. Natrium. Okay, so we are using the symbol for sodium as Na, because S is being used for sulfur and SO can be more confusing. So we are using the name such as Na for sodium. For potassium, it is kalium. Okay, for potassium, the Latin name is kalium. Kalium, kalium. So hence the symbol K is used for representing the potassium element. Okay, so these are having some of the Latin, German or Greek names of the particular compounds are used in order to name them. In order to name them, some special compounds, such as some special elements such as iron, sodium, potassium. Okay, for gold we cannot use Gu, so we can use here Au, that is aurum, which is taken from the aurum. For silver, Ag is used, which is argentium. Okay, for mercury, Hg is being used. Okay, for mercury, Hg is being used, I think so. Hg means hydragasium, like this, the name is something like that, because it is hydrophobic to water. Okay, it generally don't mixes with water readily, so hence its name is hydragasium, something like that is there. So these are the different rules for naming or using the symbols of, making the symbols of the elements, okay, by which it can be easily remembered out. Now, next is the atomic mass. Next is the atomic mass. So, the most remarkable concept which was present in the Dalton's atomic theory was the atomic mass. Okay, it was the atomic mass. According to him, each element has a characteristic atomic mass. Okay, according to him, each element, each atom has a characteristic atomic mass. And this particular theory could explain the law of constant proportion so well that the scientist was prompted to measure the atomic mass of an atom. Okay, they were now eager to measure the atomic mass of atom after the proposal of the law of the Dalton's atomic theory, which was concluding the definite proportion. Okay, the law of definite proportion in it. Since determining the mass of an individual atom was a very relatively difficult task, as the atoms are very tiny, they cannot be easily measured out. So relative atomic masses, okay, the rule for finding out the relative atomic masses were being used. by the law of the chemical combination and the compounds which were being formed. By using that particular rule, we were finding out the relative atomic masses. So for an example, carbon monoxide it is been taken. So carbon monoxide, where carbon and oxygen is been attached. One carbon is been attached with the one oxygen. So here it is observed that experimentally 3 grams of carbon combines with 4 grams of oxygen to form CO. Okay, to form CO. In other words, we can say that carbon combines with the 4 by 3 mass ratio. Okay, 4 by 3 times its mass of oxygen. Okay, 4 by 3 times of its mass with oxygen. Suppose we define, suppose we want to define the atomic mass, okay, unit, earlier abbreviated as AMU, where AMU was atomic mass unit. Okay, atomic mass unit. In previous time, it was used as atomic mass unit or AMU. But according to the IUPAC, now it is being used as unified mass. Okay, so as equal to the mass of one carbon atom, which is having mass of carbon 12. So 1 by 12th 1 by 12th of carbon 12 atom is been termed as 1 atomic mass. Okay, it is been termed as 1 atomic mass. 1 by 12th of the carbon 12 atom, 1 by 12th mass of the carbon 12 atom will be termed as the 1 atomic mass. Okay, so then we would say that, then we would conclude that that carbon atom will be having the atomic mass of 1 unit. Okay, the carbon atom will be having the atomic mass of how many? It will be having the atomic mass of 1 unit, and oxygen will be having an atomic mass of 1 by 1.33, as 4 by 3 is there na, 4 by 3 into 1. So when we will divide this 4 by 3, it will come 1.33. So hence the mass of the oxygen one atom, which is combining with the carbon atom to form CO, it will be 1.33 units. However, it is more convenient to have these numbers as whole number. Okay, whole number, or as near to a whole number as possible. While searching for various atomic mass units, scientists initially look 1 by 16th of the mass of an atom of naturally occurring oxygen as the unit. In previous time, the rule which were used for taking the consideration of the oxygen, and for oxygen it was considered that 1 by 16th of an atom of oxygen, it will be considered as 1 atomic mass unit. Okay, so this was considered relevant due to, it was considered relevant due to two reasons. What? Oxygen reacted with large number of elements and formed compounds. This atomic mass unit gave masses of the most of the elements as whole number. When we are dividing 16 by generally the mass of the given atoms, we will get a whole number there. However, in 1961, universally accepted atomic mass unit, that is the AMU, it was based on the carbon 12 isotope only, and it was taken as the standard reference for measuring the atomic masses. One atomic mass. Okay, so here the definition of the one atomic mass can be taken out. The one atomic mass unit is a mass unit equal to exactly 1/12 the mass of one atom of carbon 12 atom. Okay, and the relative atomic masses of all elements have been found with the respect of an carbon 12 atom only. Okay, so imagine, you can imagine about a fruit seller. Here you can imagine, to understand this thing, you can imagine a fruit seller who is selling fruit without any standard weight with him. So he takes a watermelon and says that this has an equal mass to 12 units. Okay, this has an equal mass to 12 units, means 12 watermelon units or 12 fruits mass units. He makes 12 equal pieces of the watermelon and finds the mass of each fruit he is selling. So relative to the mass of one piece of the watermelon, now he sells his fruit by relative fruit mass unit. Okay. So in this way we can understand that we have make a unit according to the reference of a particular atom, and the reference atom here is carbon 12 isotope. Okay, carbon 12 isotope, and on the basis of that particular carbon 12 isotope, what we are doing, we are measuring the mass of the other atoms here. Okay, similarly the relative atomic mass of an atom, okay, similarly the relative atomic mass of an atom of an element is defined as the average atomic mass. It is been defined as the average atomic mass. Okay, average mass of the atom, or the average atomic mass of the atom, as compared to that of the 1 by 12th of the mass of one carbon atom. So for hydrogen the mass will be 1 unit. Okay, for carbon it is 12 units. For nitrogen it is 14 units. For oxygen it is 16 units. For sodium it is 23 units. For magnesium it is 24 units. For sulfur it is 32 units. For chlorine it is 35.5 units. For calcium it is 40 units. Now, how do atom exist? The next question, after finding out the atomic mass, the next question which arose in the minds of the scientists, it was, how do atoms exist? What is the way? What is the way how the atoms are existed out there? So for that, atoms of the most elements are not able to exist independently. We will see that most of the elements, atoms cannot exist independently. So in order for their individual existence, they form molecules or they form ions. These molecules or ions aggregate in the large number to form the matter that we can see, feel, or touch. Okay, so hence, for individual existence of the atoms, it is very necessary for them to combine with other atoms to form molecules, or to be present in the ions form, and these molecules or ions, they aggregate with each other, means they combines with each other, they join with each other to form large forms of atoms, which presently is present near us or around us, which we can see, feel, or touch, and hence the atoms exist in the form of matter only. Now let's solve some of the questions. So the first question here is, it is the question answer from the page number, I think so, 30 5. Okay, page number 35, the question answer. And here the first question is asking here, define the atomic mass unit. Okay, define the atomic mass unit. So the atomic mass unit, we have seen here, the definition of the atomic mass unit is, one atomic mass unit is a mass unit equal to the exactly 1/12 of the mass of one carbon 12 atom. Okay, so how we can define it? We can define it, one atomic mass unit is defined as the unit, as a mass unit equal to, as the mass unit equal to 1/12. Okay, 1/12 TWEL. Okay, TWELFTH, 12th, that is 1 by 12th, the mass of an carbon 12, the 1 by 12th of the mass of an carbon 12 isotope. Okay, So this is the definition for the atomic mass or one atomic mass. So whenever anyone asks you about the definition of the atomic mass, you will be giving this particular definition. Okay, that is one atomic mass unit is defined as the mass unit equal to 1/12 or 1 by 12th of the mass of an carbon 12 isotope. Okay, next, the next question which is asking out here, it is why it is not possible, why it is not possible to see an atom with naked eyes. So the answer is very simple here, because the atoms are very very small, they are very tiny. The size of the atoms are generally measured in nanometers or in the micrometers. Okay, in the nanometers or micrometers. So nanometers means 10 to the power minus 9 meter, and the micrometer means 10 to the power minus 6 meters, which are very very small, we know that the sand grains, they are of 10 to the power minus 4 meter size. Okay, and we can't see the sand grain also by your naked eyes. Okay, for proper view of the sand grains we require microscope there. So then 10 to the power minus 9 or 10 to the power minus 6 9 minus 6 meters size substances will be required, will be how much smaller you can consider out there. So hence the answer yet will, it will be, as the atoms are very very tiny, they are measured generally in the nanometers and micrometers. Hence it is very difficult to see the it is not possible to see the atoms with our naked eyes. Now, as we have talked about that, how the atoms are existing in the nature. Atoms are existing in the form of molecules or in the forms of ions which are aggregated with each other. So now the question arises, what is a molecule? Okay, the question arises that what is a molecule? So the answer will be, a molecule is in general a group of one or more atoms that are chemically bonded or that are chemically compounded with each other, that is tightly held together by attractive forces. Okay, tightly held together by attractive forces. So hence a molecule can be defined as the smallest particle of an element or a compound that is capable of an independent existence and shows all the properties of that particular substance. Okay, so this will be the definition of the molecule. Okay, this will become the definition of the molecule. So I am writing it down here. Molecules are the smallest molecules. So what are molecules? Molecules are the smallest particle of an element, smallest particle of an element or a compound of an element or a compound that can exist independently in nature, and shows all the properties, and shows all the properties of that substance, of that substance. Okay, so these are the molecules. Molecules are what? Molecules are the smallest particle of an element or compound that can exist independently in nature, and they show all the properties of that particular element or that particular compound. Atoms of small elements, same elements, or of two different elements can join together to form the molecules. Okay, so the molecules can be of two types, that is the molecules of elements and molecules of compounds. Okay, so here we can classify molecules as, here we can classify the molecules as Here we can classify the molecules as molecules. It can be classified into two parts, that is the molecules of elements and molecules of compounds. Okay, so we will see the definition of these two, that is the molecules of elements and molecules of compounds, in the next class. For this particular class I am ending the class here only, and in the next class we will move further with this chapter, that is the atoms and molecules. So for today I am closing the class here only. Thank you for watching this class. We will meet up in the next class. Thank you.